Hi everyone, I'm Andy and this is the AI Breakdown. Welcome to your weekly news edition where I'll cover what happened in AI last week, why it matters, all in about 10 minutes. Let's start with OpenAI because their new State of Enterprise AI 2025 report is packed with clues about where this is all heading. Headline number 1, 36% of large US enterprises in OpenAI survey are now using ChatGPT Enterprise or Team. That's more than 1 in 3 big companies with a paid structured rollout, not just a few keen staff playing with the free tier. For comparison, around 14% of those enterprises are using Anthropic's Claude, so OpenAI still has a very real lead in enterprise mindshare. The usage data is just as punchy. Enterprise message volume on ChatGPT is up 8 times year on year. Custom GPTs, those company-specific assistants that capture your internal knowledge, are up 19 times and now make up around 1/5 of all enterprise messages. And at an individual level, employees using these tools report saving around 45 minutes a day on average, with many saying it's closer to an hour. OpenAI's leadership is clearly feeling the pressure though. Sam Altman sent an internal code red memo over Google's Gemini 3, basically saying that this is a serious threat and we need to move faster. That's part of why they rushed out GPT 5.2 just weeks after 5.1. I think the big takeaway for you is this. The AI race isn't just about model quality anymore, it's about distribution and integration. So competition in AI is really about ecosystem control. Google has Gemini wired into Search, Gmail, and Android. OpenAI is trying to answer with deeper enterprise features, custom GPTs, and now commerce integrations like Instacart. For you, the question is, are you treating AI as just another app or as a platform you're actively re-platforming around? Next up, a huge bit of plumbing news that won't trend on X, but really matters if you care about building AI products. IBM is buying Confluent for about $11 billion in cash. Confluent is basically Kafka as a service, the real-time event streaming layer that lets you move data around your organization in milliseconds instead of hours. Think click streams, payments, sensor data, customer events, all flowing continuously. IBM's CEO Arvind Krishna called it the smart data platform for enterprise IT, purpose-built for AI. Translation: if IBM owns the pipe that feeds data into AI systems, it becomes much harder for those customers to rip IBM out later. Investors seem to agree. IBM is paying a 34% premium over Confluent's last stock price, and Confluent's shares jumped around 30% on the news. This is their biggest acquisition since Red Hat, which tells you how serious they are about owning the AI infrastructure stack. If you strip away the M&A gloss, the lesson is simple. Most AI projects don't fail because the model isn't good enough. They fail because the data is late, messy, or locked away. IBM is betting that in the AI era, the real money is in solving that data plumbing problem end to end. So if you're building anything AI-powered, it's worth asking, are you obsessing over which model to use, while your data pipeline looks like it's held together with duct tape and hope? Sticking with big enterprise moves, Accenture and Anthropic have just announced a multi-year partnership that, frankly, could shift a lot of corporate AI spend. Accenture is creating an Accenture Anthropic business group and training about 30,000 of its people on Claude, consultants, engineers, AI reinvention specialists, the lot. Claude Code, Anthropic's developer assistant, already has a big chunk of the AI coding market, and Accenture is now rolling it out to tens of thousands of developers. This isn't just another logo slide partnership. Accenture is baking Claude into solutions for heavily regulated sectors, finance, healthcare, the public sector, where governance, audit trails, and safety matter as much as raw capability. They're co-developing tools to help banks automate compliance, pharma firms accelerate R&D, and CIOs actually measure AI value, not just talk about it. Why does this matter? Because a lot of enterprise AI is stuck in proof of concept purgatory. The tech works, but nobody knows how to integrate it with legacy systems. Risk teams are nervous, and staff aren't trained. Accenture is basically saying, we'll fix that for you, and by the way, our weapon of choice is Claude. One thing to watch is how quickly Anthropic's share of the enterprise market grows from here. They're already up from roughly a quarter to around 40% by some measures, giving 30,000 Accenture consultants a strong opinion in Claude's favour is going to tilt a lot of boardroom conversations. Let's bring it down from boardrooms to the weekly shop. OpenAI and Instacart have launched a new Instacart ChatGPT app that lets you plan meals, fill your basket and check out without ever leaving ChatGPT. You literally type something like, "I've got 4 people coming over, one's vegan, give me a menu and help me shop," and ChatGPT proposes recipes, pipes the ingredients into an Instacart cart, lets you tweak items in the chat, and then runs what they call instant checkout. All of that happens inside ChatGPT. You don't flip over to the Instacart app or a browser tab. Under the hood, this is built on OpenAI's new agentic commerce tooling, which lets ChatGPT not just recommend things, but actually transact on your behalf once you've given it permission. Why is this interesting beyond dinner? Because it's one of the cleanest demos yet of conversational commerce, going from intent to plan to paid order in a single dialogue. For Instacart, it's a new acquisition channel. They suddenly show up wherever ChatGPT users are brainstorming meals. For OpenAI, it's a potential new revenue stream. They'll take a small fee on sales that go through ChatGPT. Zooming out, this is what AI agents are going to look like for consumers. Not sci-fi robots, just very competent flows that quietly remove whole chunks of friction. Today it's groceries. Tomorrow it's booking travel, renewing SaaS tools, or reordering office supplies. If you run an e-commerce or SaaS business, it's worth thinking about how your product might live inside someone else's AI interface. On the creative side of AI, Runway just pulled off a proper David versus Goliath moment in video generation. They've launched Gen 4.5, a new text-to-video model that shot straight to the top of the Video Arena leaderboard, run by an independent evaluator called Artificial Analysis. In blind tests where humans pick their favorite clip without knowing which model made it, Runway's output beat Google's latest VO3 and OpenAI's Sora 2 Pro, with the highest ELO score of any model so far. The big improvement is in physics and motion. Earlier video models often produce that weird floaty look, objects sliding instead of walking, fabric that doesn't quite behave, water that feels like jelly. Gen 4.5 has been trained on lots of high frame rate footage and tuned for motion consistency, so things like weight, momentum, smoke, hair and camera moves all hang together much more convincingly over time. Crucially, they claim they've kept the speed and efficiency of the previous Gen 4 model, so you're not waiting forever for renders. For filmmakers, marketers and game studios, this is a serious new tool. You can pre-visualize scenes, spit out concept shots for a pitch, or generate social content with something much closer to cinematic quality, without needing a full VFX team. And the angle I like here is that Runway did this with a team of about 100 people. As their CEO, Cristobal Valenzuela, put it, they managed to outcompete trillion-dollar companies by staying extremely focused. How cool is that? So, if you're a smaller player building in a niche, this is a nice reminder that you absolutely can beat the giants on specific problems. Moving on to a quieter story that I think is genuinely encouraging, Claude for nonprofits. Anthropic has partnered with Giving Tuesday to offer eligible nonprofits a 75% discount on Claude's team and enterprise plans. On top of that, they've built connectors into tools that social good organizations already live in, platforms like Blackboard, Candid, and Benevity. In practice, that means a charity can ask Claude questions directly against its donor database, pull grant information from Candid, or use Benevity data to find local organizations working on, say, homelessness, all from within the chat interface. Anthropic has also launched a free AI Fluency for Nonprofits course to help teams that don't have in-house data scientists actually use this stuff well. And this isn't just theory. They highlight groups like the International Rescue Committee, which uses Claude to analyze field data faster in crisis zones, and research orgs like ID Insight, which report working up to 16 times faster on survey and analysis work. I like this for 2 reasons. 1, nonprofits are usually last in line for new tech because budgets are tight. A 75% discount plus training and integrations is a serious attempt to change that. 2, it's a concrete example of AI amplifying human work rather than replacing it, freeing up scarce staff to focus on relationships and impact, while the model chews through the paperwork. Let's finish with Mistral, because they're taking a very different route to the big US labs, and it's starting to pay off. The Paris-based team has released Mistral 3, a family of 10 open-weight models, ranging from a big frontier-class multimodal model down to tiny 3 billion and 8 billion parameter models that can run on a laptop, a server at the edge, even a drone. Crucially, they've published the weights under permissive licenses, so you can download, fine-tune, and host them yourself. No API lock-in, no sending sensitive data to someone else's cloud if you don't want to. Mistral's argument, backed up by customer work, is that the huge majority of enterprise use cases don't actually need a monster 70 billion parameter model. Businesses often prototype on a giant closed model, then discover it's slow and expensive at scale. At that point, they come to Mistral, fine-tune a smaller model on their own data, and get 80 to 90% of the quality at a fraction of the cost. We've already seen their models turning up on platforms like IBM's Watson X. With Mistral 3, they're doubling down on being the open source champion. If you're running in regulated environments, or you just hate vendor lock-in, this really matters. It means you can design an AI stack where some workloads run on closed models from OpenAI or Anthropic, and others sit on open models you control fully. That mix and match world is probably where a lot of serious enterprises will end up. And from a European perspective, it's significant that one of the most credible open model families is coming out of Paris, not Silicon Valley. It slightly rebalances who gets to shape the AI ecosystem. That's all for this week's AI Roundup. If you found value in this breakdown, please leave a rating and hit subscribe. See you next week.